courage. I felt no sadness. I felt no empathy. I had come to a place in my career and had enough time on the bench that I had dissociated myself from any such feelings. And that's what makes it possible to kill somebody in a courtroom. I had no loss of sleep. I had no nightmares, no deep ruminations, no restlessness, no significant mood alterations. Morally, as well as emotionally, I was disengaged. I was disengaged from the core self. My defense mechanism was the cold logic of the law. I was unburdened by any spiritual or philosophical wisdom. And in that trial, I was willing to take the law to the next logical step, which was executing a person who had not actually wielded the weapon of murder, but simply ordered it. The law had never gone that far. But I wrote an opinion justifying that as a logical and analytical correct step for the law to take. So I argued for an extension of the death penalty. And you know what? You know what really happened at the end? And I signed off on the order. You know what really happened in years since then that's really come to confront me, and I don't know why it didn't hit me at the time. There was very little distinguishing what I did from what Danny Martinez did. Danny Martinez, just like me, rationalized that he had reasons for committing this murder or having this murder committed. And he rationalized the fact that others are going to do it, not him. Others are going to do it. Same as me. I could sign the paper, but others are going to put their hands on this guy. Others are going to take him down, not me. All I do is sign a piece of paper. It's easy to kill somebody. It's easier when somebody else is doing the killing, when somebody else puts their hands on that person. I didn't have to do that. All I had to do is sign a piece of paper, give the minimus to my division clerk, and I could put it out of my mind. But I was no less a killer at that point than Danny Martinez. Denial, rationalization, disassociation, sign off. That's how Danny did it. That's how I did it. Danny and I understand each other from that standpoint. So how did I get to this point? I was raised in a pietist, conservative, evangelical Christian background. We didn't discuss politics at the dinner table. I didn't even know if my folks voted. I guess they did. We didn't discuss warfare. We didn't discuss justice. I never saw a hand raised in anger in my house. We were Scandinavians. We didn't even argue with each other. We forgave. We turned the other cheek. I was raised to believe in redemption. How did I get to a point where I could say, this man, I'm ordering his death? Somehow I got to a different place. Was it because I learned how to think like a lawyer? How did I become an amoral rationalist? Yeats, the blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best people lack all conviction, and the worst are full of passionate intensity. I'd say he's wrong there. The worst are empty of any intensity whatsoever, and that's where I was. So I ask you, where is your moral core? And because we're in a theological seminary, I feel a little safer talking about this, and I'm just going to be very brief, because this opens up a whole new conversation that touches in part upon what David was talking about. I also don't believe people per se are evil. But I do believe in evil. This is something that I probably cannot say as a judge on a bench in a courtroom. But I do believe that there is evil in the universe. The way I think of this evil is I think of it as an ontological anti-life force. It's a force in our universe that wants all life dead.
That's right.
Now the law, at its best, should protect society from evil. Protect us from acts of reprehensible brutality. But the law falls short, and instead it seeks to control and overcome the enemy at the gates by utilizing the same tactics as the enemy. To contain and subdue violent acts, the law chooses to perpetuate violence itself. And in the name of justice, uses violence to stop violence. And thereby the law becomes an instrument of the anti-life force in the universe, participating in the same evil that it seeks to eradicate. What is justice? What does justice have to be thinking? I hear lawyers all the time say, well, Judge, how you doing? Are you doing justice today? Well, I'm not even sure I know what that means. I know what it means to a lot of people, though, because I've heard them speak on TV to news reporters after they walk out of a courtroom and something hasn't quite gone their way. They want justice. Well, what do they want? Is justice only a matter of limiting, restricting, taking away, reducing, humiliating, lessening, hurting, and ultimately killing? Is that justice? Or is justice only about accountability? I'm not saying it's not at all about accountability. Montour apparently understood some notion of justice from somewhere deep in his heart. But can justice also be about transformation? Can it be about redemption? Can it be about compassion? Can it be about mercy? Or is it only about taking something from somebody? Does justice have anything to do with truth? And from where do you get truth? You get it simply from severe deductive logic and reasoning, or can truth be born of intuition, vision, prayer, wisdom, spirituality, and dare I say, moral imagination in a courtroom? Should justice encompass mindfulness, humility, mercy, restoration, redemption? What I finally come to believe about justice, I think, is most well stated by Martin Luther King Jr., and I'm going to finish up with this. He said the ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence, you may murder the hater, but you do not murder hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. I'll say that again. Adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And he finishes saying, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Only love can do that. And that's where I'm at right now, friends. Ultimately, justice is about love and transformation of the human heart from a place of darkness to a place of light. And I invite all of you and anybody that might hear from these people in the future to consider this conversation. It's a difficult but necessary conversation. The only thing that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. More Edmund Burke. And I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Antonio, David Lane, my friend, not my adversary, Sophia Rose Arjana, Robert Ottleby, Jennifer Kroska, Rabbi Stephen Foster. These are people who are good people who are doing something. So we owe them our thanks.